Hello, my name's Niall, I'm Deputy International Commissioner and this is my 60-second Scouter.
What was the funniest thing that ever happened to you on a camping trip?
Oh gosh, I was doing my Duke of Edinburgh Gold with a friend of mine called David, and we did it in the Brecon Beacons, and it rained from the moment we arrived to the moment we finished. Anyway, David was in head-to-toe waterproofs and he thought he was untouchable. We were walking through some farmland and we reached a puddle and he thought, no problem, I'm untouchable. And he put one foot into this puddle, covered his boots, great, no problem. Next step, came up to his knee. He's thought, no, it's okay, waterproof trousers, I'm fine. Next step, right up to his shoulder blades, and he got soaked, and it was hilarious. And that's my one presiding memory of my Duke of Edinburgh.
What do you call your scout leaders?
Oh, what do we call our scout leaders? Okay, so well, that actually differs between all of our groups sometimes. Some people just use their first names. My scout, when I was a scout, we used to call our scout leader Skip, and there's a few other names like that, but we generally stick to first names.
What countries might you visit to meet scouts?
So I've been very lucky and I've been able to travel a bit with scouts. We've been to Finland, Poland, and this year we'll be going to South Africa. And so, well, nearly every single country has scouts. So pick one, go and see who you get to meet up with.
Do you collect badges?
Well, we're scouts, we all collect badges, right? But yes, I have a modest campfire blanket with a few of my favourites on, favourite locations, favourite camps, that sort of thing.
Where do you go scout camping with your group?
Well, I'm looking to join a new group, and they're based in Norwich, a fine city. I've got to get that in there somewhere. And they go camping all over the place, actually. So sometimes it's closer to home, but I know they've got camping trips to Wales, and some of their explorers are actually going to Norway this summer. So good luck to them.
How has scouting changed since you were a youth?
It's not very long since I was classed as one of the youth. We count young people as 6 to 25, so I'm only just crept over that. So, but since I joined as a beaver, things like our uniform has changed. That's probably one that most people will recognise, and of course a lot of our badges have changed.
What is the farthest that you have ever gone for a scouting trip?
I have to say, I've mentioned it before, but the furthest I've ever travelled for a scouting trip would be South Africa. In fact, actually Lesotho, because it's a little bit further south from Johannesburg, where we flew into. So Lesotho, I'm very lucky.
Where was the most interesting place you ever went on an overnight camping trip?
Coldest is right up there, because the melting pot of nationalities that you get there, you get to meet all sorts of people. So my favourite overnight camping trips are where you get to meet people from other countries or other scout groups or other scout organisations that you're not part of, and getting to know them.
Are there any groups that are just females in scouting?
So this is a really good question from the Boy Scouts of America. The short answer is yes, there are. Not very many. Most of our groups are all co-educational, but there are a few groups because they cater to, or they make sure they're inclusive for certain faiths, and they like to do their scouting as boys and separately as girls. And so we like to include that.
If you had the chance, what question would you ask that info, right?
Oh wow, bit of a time jump on this one. I would really like to know from Baden-Powell what he thinks in this time that Scouts can do to most have a positive impact on the world that exists now compared to the world that, of course, he left. His last message was, make sure that you leave this world a better place than how you find it. So I'd like to get his perspective on what we can do now.
What was the highest rank that you attained in scouting?
I think our ranking system works a little bit differently. I was a patrol leader in my scout troop, and I know you guys have Eagle Scouts. I suppose our equivalent is the Queen Scout Award, which I've managed to get through a lot of hard work, as have all the other amazing Queen Scouts in the UK, so well done to you.
Have you ever used an unusual method of transportation to camp?
Okay, this is good. So I really like to encourage my Scouts to use different modes of transport. So sometimes we want to canoe to a camp, or we use public transport, something that's a bit more exciting than getting your parents to be dropped off. We didn't really travel too much, but I did spend 48 hours on a raft once. That was quite interesting.
What was the coldest temperature on a camping trip?
I don't know for certain, but I'll tell you a story from my first camping experience. I was a cub. It's the first time I've ever been camping, and we happened to go in, I think, November, maybe February. It was freezing. Of course it snowed, and I got snowed into my tent.